Well, Lord have mercy. Cam Ward's making headlines, everybody. ESPN First Take got some thoughts on Cam Ward's post-game comments, his infamous post-game comments from the other day where he had some things to say. You all know. They're about to play it for you, and you'll hear it. And then we'll hear what Stephen A. and the gang have to say.
We 0-4. We have – this point we got nothing to lose. We dropped a quarter of our games, and we've yet to do anything. So we have to lock in.
Well, they left out.
So obviously very blunt was one Cam Ward, not pulling any punches when commenting on how his team has performed so far. He's not lying. They were shut out over the weekend.
I don't know if y'all can see it because of copyright. The quote at the bottom that they have to type out. If we keeping it a buck right now, we're, you know what?
And against the Texans, things have not been good in Tennessee. What do you make of what Cam Ward had to say, Cam?
Yeah, they're having amassed over 300 yards of total offense, which is absolutely anemic. And everybody understands in the NFL, 100 total yards should equal 7 points. So they're having issues being able to move the ball, and this is the guy that was supposed to solve those problems. Now, he ain't lying. The team is cheeks. The offense has been really, really bad. And Cam Ward is in the unenviable position of trying to assert himself as a leader while not being a productive player. And that's the difficulty in the scenario that he was thrust into down with the Tennessee Titans.
Number 1 overall pick. He's been sacked an NFL high 17 times and is completing a league worst 52% of his passes. Now, why would that be? Because he's been under pressure 45% of the time when he's only completing 36% of his passes. Being slaughtered out there. That's really what's going on here, and it's not an accident. Titans are the worst scoring offense in the NFL. Second.
What is so frustrating about that, because everything he's saying is true, this is nothing new. Like, Vrabel's last 2 years, the offense was borderline unwatchable. Even the year that we went 12-5 and were the number 1 seed in the AFC, the offense had a lot of weeks where it was like, dang, what are we doing? But those last 2 years of Vrabel, the offense was just awful. And then the first year of Callahan last year, terrible. And then this year, awful, the worst it's been. So, yeah, everything Stephen A. is saying is very true about the pressure, how much pressure he's under, how many times he's been sacked, the lack of talent on this Titans team, yes, but it's also nothing new. Like, it's been this way for years. Years.
And worse in total offense. It all points to you not protecting your quarterback and giving him an opportunity to shine.
Points to a couple more things than that, Stephen A. I'm pretending like I'm on the show, I guess, or like I'm talking back to him. It also points to an offensive scheme that doesn't work. And that's something that I don't think you see unless you watch film breakdowns and really analyze. Nobody's open. Nobody's getting open. And sometimes that's because our wide receiver group is kind of mediocre and they can't get any separation. But sometimes it's because the play design sucks. Sometimes it's because the route combinations are horrible. Sometimes it's because we're trying to beat a zone defense when they're in man. Sometimes it's because we're trying to beat a man defense when they're in zone. And sometimes it's because we're keeping so many guys in to protect that can't even do it, that there's only so many guys left to run routes. And so the secondary that we're going against has an advantage because we've only got a few guys we can send out to run routes, and they've got a bunch of guys in the secondary to cover those few guys. There's a lot that goes into that.
To give credence to the fact that he's being honest, right? You don't want him to express it that way in particular, but he's being honest. The other thing is too, man, like.
I keep hearing, former players and all these analysts say, oh, you don't want him to say it like that. I guess, I don't know. I as a fan, I enjoyed hearing that. As a fan, I was relieved to hear it, but whatever. They keep saying, well, you don't need to word it like that. You don't need to say it that bluntly. I don't understand. If he's telling the truth, like I said, the Titans should be more bothered by the fact that what he said is true and less bothered by the fact that he said it. Why don't you be bothered by the fact that you're an embarrassment? That should bother
For a young
you.
guy that's as competitive as Cam Ward, because if anybody knows him, they know how much he's about his business and wants to win. Like, that's his goal in the league. So it'll take some time. And I think the moves that they made, they thought they were putting themselves in a better situation. Made offensive line changes. They brought in Calvin Ridley as a number 1 wide receiver, brought in Tony Pollard as a back that they thought would be explosive. It's just not working out right now. I don't know if it's going to get right. But this is organizational and what you need to do around Cam Ward, because I still think the kid got the goods.
I will quickly bring this up. I heard Tom Brady talking about the sound, and he basically thought that maybe the fact that all these kids in college are now transferring is now hindering them at the next level. They don't have time
Probably
to really
I can
sit
see a lack of
and
development.
focus.
Probably is. It's a lack of development, but you
Right.
know what? The fact is, it's not their fault. The system was exploiting them, and they stepped up to do something about it. There's going to be some rough edges. Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Cory Booker, both of them are getting involved and trying to bring stuff together, but as usual, they're coming from 2 different perspectives as well, which is a more complicated story to get into. Both has one angle, different.
There's only one thing they're leaving out that is a key part of this, and that's Brian Callahan. Stephen A. Smith was the one who came on this offseason and said, oh, this poor Brian Callahan. He had to put up with Will Levis. Everything was bad because of Will Levis. Will Levis. I can't believe you would do a segment like that and not mention Brian Callahan and how bad of a job he's doing coaching this team and how bad his offense is. Like, Swagoo, yes, he's right. It is organizational that the pieces that they brought in that were supposed to help are not helping. Yeah, but in analyzing that, how do you not look at the head coach and say, maybe his offense is just not good. Maybe his scheme is not good. Maybe his philosophy, maybe his whatever he's selling, they're not buying, you know? I don't know how Brian Callahan doesn't get it brought up in a conversation like that, if I'm being honest. But I agree with everything else they said. I do think everything else they said was fair, but I just don't know how you get out of there without mentioning the biggest component, and that is this team's not well coached. Because really, I mean, they're not an overly talented roster, but like, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like with better coaching, the Titans would have a better record right now. I'm not saying they'd be 4-0 or even 3-1, but I feel like they would have at least beaten Denver in that Week 1 game. I feel like they would have hung in there with Houston better if they were better coached. I don't know. Maybe that's an oversimplification, but that's just how I feel. Tighten up, everybody.
We had dinner reservations tonight, but we decided not to go. We got DoorDash and stayed home. We had plans to see a movie. We were gonna hit the town, but we just ended up with our dog on the couch. Yeah. But I got no regrets, no. These nights are the best, yeah. When you say, honey, let's just stay in tonight, we need to lay back and relax. Hey, Alexa, play Sinatra, so we can go in the kitchen and dance. Then we're watching office reruns while we gently hold hands. Oh, baby, ain't nothing wrong with some canceled plans. Oh, baby, ain't nothing wrong with, yeah, some canceled plans. You know I love it when we get to go out and put on our nicest clothes. Grab a camera, strike a pose. But these nights when we're together with nobody to impress, ain't no other place that could ever compare to this. No. Some might say we're lame, but as for me, girl, I got no complaints. Yeah, when you say, honey, let's just stay so we can go in the kitchen and dance. And then we're watching office reruns while we gently hold hands. Oh, baby, ain't nothing wrong with, yeah, some candy.